Post-nerf Flameshaper has really highlighted one of the biggest issues with the hero talent trees for preservation. That out of all three trees across Evoker, Flameshaper feels like it has the least synergy with preservation. Chrono Warden, Scale Commander, and even Flameshaper on Devastation all work pretty good and are fun in their own right. Even Chrono Warden on Preservation is working great and is an absolute joy to play. But Flameshaper lacks a lot of the connecting pieces about it that make it feel like an endgame fantasy. Let's talk about it. My name is Baz the Healer. I do talk a lot about healers in World of Warcraft, so get subscribed if you like that. Appreciate you. So first of all, what changed in the recent patch, and was it that bad? Engulf is the unique ability for Flameshaper that does more damage or healing based on the amount of dots or hots on the target. That move got a buff. Healing increased by 20%, which is pretty good. Consume Flame is a talent that eats a theoretical 3 seconds off of a Dream Breath and then blows it up at 300% as an AoE heal. This got nerfed by a whole 50% flat, which is pretty bad. The short version is in Raid, it's totally fine. The heal was so broken that Prez was ahead of every healer by a massive margin. I've used it in a few fights and it's totally fine. It isn't broken, it's healing, and that's good. The problem is that in Mythic Plus, Flameshaper had a unique niche. It wasn't as strong as Chrono Warden in healing and in damage, but it offered more ways to heal. Chrono Warden has cooldown reduction, making healing a bit smoother, and a heal over time on our Spirit Bloom, which is pretty useful for smoothing out our healing windows. Flameshaper was essentially a basic preservation evoker with an extra button. With Consume Flame, it meant that you had a few methods of AoE healing, or with just Engulf itself, more ways to single target heal. In some pug groups, I kinda liked having the extra healing buttons rather than cooldown reduction. Not to mention, being able to give out a half potency version of our Renewing Blaze, our self-healing cooldown, was an extremely powerful external. The nerf to Consume Flame made the AoE healing in dungeons extremely bad. Like, yes, across 20 to 30 players, it's still a ton of healing, but in a group of 5 it feels terrible, barely impacting the people around you. And the single target healing, while better, isn't needed nearly as often, and using it as just a single target healing resource can feel kinda bad. Yes, you can use echoes to make Engulf hit multiple targets, but it's not much stronger than a single living flame if you don't have a heal over time effect on the target. So you're sort of choosing between a lot of setup for a pretty decent heal, or an instant cast living flame with a 30-second recharge. But even if we buffed the Consume Flame to be stronger again in 5 targets and fall off more harshly for Raid, Flameshaper would still feel like it's missing something. When I compare it to Chrono Warden, Scale Commander, or even Flameshaper on Devastation, what I think is missing is the connecting joints, if you will, like an elbow or a knee, something that helps the whole thing move. Scale Commander gets a mass spender that makes your next eruption or disintegrate hit up to 3 targets or do more single target damage. You get these from any of your empowered spells. That mass disintegrate or eruption marks a target for bombardments, where when anyone in your party attacks that target, there is a chance that a Drakthir homie flies overhead and bombs the target. Now, I'll stop there. That's a lot of really cool parts and essentially one string of talents on the tree. You just made my normal rotation even cooler and gave me more choices for how I want to optimize with these new versions of my already existing moves. Wicked sick, we love that. Chrono Warden on Preservation has Spirit Bloom becoming a heal over time. The more heal over times you get out this way, the more flat haste you gain, up to 9%. Your fancy new Chrono Flames also cast when you use empowered spells, which means more chances at an Essence Burst. So you can send out a Spirit Bloom, get a haste steroid, and heal over time, which might also include your free resource of Essence Burst, which you can convert into more damage or more healing, all while under a spell speed increase. That's awesome. That's good moving parts. And this is just, again, one string of talents. There are even more in these talent trees. When you read through them, they synergize together and it's wonderful fun. Flameshaper has broken themes. One string here is Engulf, its ability to spread Dream Breath or Fire Breath and extend timers. 2 charges of Engulf, Consume Flame, which is cool and still is cool in Raid, and a single spell cast speed increase for the next spell after using an Engulf. The string to the left is a new dash that's fun. There's then a crit bonus to targets below 50%, and then an extra chance at an Essence Burst on the Living Flame when you get crit. On the right, Enkindle, which is cool, you get this bonus damage and healing on your Essence Spenders Disintegrate, Blossom, and Echo, but outside of Blossom builds, the healing and damage is cool but not massive, and is sort of useless on Echo, which creates this kind of pathetic heal over time with Enkindle. And you can get more Dream Breath and Fire Breath damage over time and heal over time potency, or the Choice Node, which lets you re-empower your Enkindles again, which is a nice boon to Blossom builds, but again, doesn't feel too good in the damage department or healing outside of a Blossom build. The best talent is that one I mentioned earlier that gives out Renewing Blaze to a teammate, but there isn't a lot of joints to this tree that feel like they're helping it all move. No real integration with red healing spells, with Living Flame, Fire Breath, nothing like that for preservation that feels meaningful. In theory, we could just change Consume Flame to be useful at 5 targets and then fall off, but I think there needs to be some reworks here. Visually, there are no fire effects on Enkindled moves, which I think is something I really hoped for all the way back in the alpha. But also, I'd like to see some more creative red spell interactions or talents. What if we got some Living Flame follow-up mini flames? No Essence Burst, just individually rolling crit, following up your healing or damage. Not unlike Chrono Flame, but maybe something that you get after using another red spell. Or what if we got to power up a Pyre that launches into the air, and when it lands, it explodes into Living Flames that go out and heal allies. Fire magic that heals is an extremely interesting fantasy, and I'd love to see it get more play here. The fact that the icon for Flameshaper shows a dragon using Fire Breath and there's very little changes to Fire Breath, especially on preservation, I think hurts more than anything. And as for the base values, getting meaningful damage out of Enkindle would be nice, as if you spam Chrono Flames and Disintegrate on Chrono Warden, it's more damage in single target and an AoE. And I sort of felt like Chrono Warden might have more AoE damage given its talents, but nope, it also has more single target damage, which feels a little unbalanced. This talent, Adrenaline Rush, that makes your next spell cast 30% faster after an Engulf, it works. But as a comparison, Chrono Warden gets this absolutely crazy talent that makes Tip the Scales turn into an almost blood-like ability. Stop the video if you want to read all of this. Engulf is up more often, so I understand that it can't be as strong as this talent, but I feel like over the course of your 2-minute cooldown waiting for Tip the Scales, the 4 Engulf casts that you get means that you get 4 faster casting spells, and that doesn't feel nearly as cool as what Tip the Scales gives you on Chrono Warden. That being said, I love preservation. I just want to see Flameshaper end up as cool as the other hero talents. I know how hard this dev team works, and I want to make sure it's stated in video format just how much all the details to Evoker they put into the class matter to me. Chrono Warden feels snappy and fun. Scale Commander is actually out of this world. It's a fantasy I didn't know I wanted, and now I crave it all the time. And even Flameshaper Dev, while it's not very flashy, is highly mobile and just blows up AoE packs, dealing a ton of priority target damage. It's a blast. Flameshaper can be about shaping flame and dream, feeling powerful and creative. I want to play that version of Flameshaper. But that's going to do it for this one. I want to know down below what your wishes for Flameshaper Prez are. What do you like about it? What do you think is working? What do you think is not working? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts, and as always, if you like guides and whatnot, I have a ton in the work right now. Take care, friends. I'll see you all soon.